Good morning, everyone. My name is Anda Johnson, and I'm the Education Administrator of the Quality Support Office within the After School Division. Joining me today on the webinar is Kim Hanks, Anissa Sonnenberg, Jennifer Taylor, Corleen Goy, Yvonne Evans, and Fred Buggs. We would like to welcome you to this presentation of the System of Support for Expanded Learning, Request for Applications for County Offices of Education. Before we get started, if you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them into the chat in the right-hand corner. Please note that this is an audio webinar. You'll be able to hear the webinar, but you will not be able to respond verbally to questions. We will not respond verbally to questions. We will take a moment at the end of the presentation to answer RFA clarifying questions that you may have. You should also note that this is being recorded, and the recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation will be made available at a later date.
Today's agenda. The purpose of the System of Support for Expanding Learning Requests for Applications is to build the capacity of expanded learning programs to meet all grant requirements defined in statute and to promote high-quality programs and services. Today's agenda will highlight critical dates for the request for applications, eligibility, available funding, a walkthrough of application components, including the technical assistance plan narrative, and how applications will be scored. Critical dates. The following table includes important dates for the request for applications. Please note that applications must be received by 5 p.m. on January 27, 2016. The application panel review will occur in early February. Shortly after the panel review, the intent to award will be posted on the CDE webpage. At this time, the CDE will contact selected applicants to conduct an in-person interview. The CDE will ask successful applicants to provide additional application narrative that describes specifically how, when, and what types of technical assistance will be provided to expanded learning programs. This information is necessary to complete the contract development process. It is important to note that applicants selected during this phase must be responsive, available, and thorough in order to meet CDE's contract deadlines. The final funding list will be posted in March 2016 and contracts finalized by April 2016. Eligibility. Who is eligible? The request for applications is not limited to the county offices of education currently receiving technical assistance funding from CDE under the System of Support for Expanded Learning Program structure in the 11 California County Superintendents Educational Services Association regions. It is open to the 55 California County Offices of Education with federal 21st century community learning centers and/or after-school education and safety expanded learning programs located in their county. The list of counties with sites are listed in Attachment 3 of the request for applications. If you have any questions regarding these sections, slides 2, 3, 4, and 5, please post your questions now. Slide 5, funding. There is approximately $5.2 million available for System of Support for Expanded Learning contracts. Funding amounts are set and can be found in Attachment 3. The attachment includes the amount available per county. If you have any questions regarding this section, slide 5, please post your questions now.
There are 3 phases for the application cycle. The first phase includes the application completion, submission, and scoring. Application screening. All applications will be screened for completeness. Only completed applications will be reviewed and scored by the panel. We have included an application checklist to assist you in completing the application. This checklist can be found in Attachment 5. Panel review. Applications that have successfully passed the screening process will be reviewed and scored by a panel consisting of experienced and knowledgeable professionals. Scoring. Panel reviewers will score applications using the scoring rubric on pages 11 through 17 of the request for applications. There are 4 criteria that applicants will be scored on using a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being inadequate and 4 being advanced. Phase 2 includes the interview process. The applicants that have received the high scoring ranking score will be contacted by the after-school division for an interview. This interview will give the CDE an opportunity to gain clarification on key issues raised by review panelists and secure the applicant's commitment to a more defined scope of work. As mentioned earlier in this presentation, applicants must provide additional application narrative that describes specifically how, when, and what types of technical assistance will be provided to expanded learning programs. This information is necessary to complete the contract development process. Once again, it is important to note that applicants selected during this phase must be responsive, available, and thorough in order to meet the CDE contracted deadlines. If you have any questions regarding these 3 sections, please post your questions now.
The third phase includes contract development. During this phase, the CDE will negotiate a 2-year contract for services with each successful applicant. Final adjustments may be made to the scope of work to ensure the necessary level of services to the region. The contract will also include language that will specify the scope of work, contract terms, funding amount, budget, benchmarks, deliverables, and reporting requirements, including but not limited to evaluation and outcome measures and expenditure reports. A description of general reporting requirements can be found on pages 9 through 10 of the request for application. The effective contract start date will be July 1st, 2016, and the end date will be June 30th, 2018. Please note that these dates are pending completion and approval of the contract by the California Department of General Services. In addition, this is contingent upon the CDE's receipt of the Federal 21st Century Community Learning Centers Grant Award from the U.S. Department of Education and finalization of the California state budget for fiscal year 2016. If you have any questions regarding this section, please post your questions now.
Technical Assistance Narrative Plan. Each applicant must provide one technical assistance plan for the county or counties in the application.
The plan must address all 4 criterion. Please be clear, succinct, and thorough in answering the criterion elements. For the first criterion, the technical assistance plan, the applicant should do the following. 1, describe the efforts made to consult with counties included in the application. 2, describe how the proposed TA activities demonstrate the capacity to support and build high-quality expanded learning programs in the region, including the following, which would be the timeline for the proposed TA activities, essential personnel qualified to provide TA services. Please, at this time, identify the specific staff responsible for implementing the work. Number 3, describe the organizational structure. 4, describe how the proposed activities support the continuous improvement of expanded learning programs, building long-term capacity and high-quality programs. Include any follow-up training, mentoring, and coaching that will be provided. The second criterion is collaboration and partnerships. The applicant should do the following. 1, identify stakeholders you will collaborate and/or partner with. Describe their roles and responsibilities. 2, describe the resources that will be leveraged through collaborations and/or partnerships. 3, describe how the County Office of Education will collaborate and effectively communicate with the after-school division, specifically the consultant and analyst assigned to the county or region to monitor the implementation of the work. At this time, if you have any questions regarding slides 10, 11, and 12, please write them and post them on the website at this time.
The third criterion is a description of the evaluation plan for measuring outcomes of the technical assistance plan. The applicant should do the following. Describe the plan for evaluating TA services. Describe how results will be measured and who will conduct the evaluation. Describe how data will be used to inform the quality of services provided to expanding learning programs. And describe how the After-School Division Technical Assistance Priority Plan, also known as TAP, collected data will be used to provide targeted TA to increase program quality. The fourth and final criterion is the budget. Using Attachment 4, the applicant must provide a budget that is reasonable and necessary given the funding request and the proposed technical assistance plan. The applicant should do the following. Describe how the budget clearly aligns with proposed activities in the narrative plan. Describe how the budget fully funds the proposed activities. Describe how the budget will address services provided by subcontractors. Please note that the applicant, also known as the primary contractor, are responsible for all activities and deliverables. Describe the methods used to determine the estimated cost of proposed TA activities. These should be clearly documented and explained. And last, please see Attachment 4 for the budget description and justification template. Object code should include detailed amounts and descriptions. Please see the examples included for each object code series. If you have any questions regarding this section which covered criterions 3 and 4, please post your questions now.
Scoring of the applications will occur during the panel review. Each criterion will receive an individual score. A score of 4 is advanced. A score of 3 is adequate. A score of 2 is partially adequate. A score of 1 is inadequate. All criterion points will be summed up for final application score. This table shows the maximum possible points for each criterion. For individual descriptions for each criterion, please review the scoring rubric on pages 11 to 17 of the request for application. If you have any questions regarding this section, please post your questions now. Submission. Applications must be received by 5 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, January 27th, 2016. Please submit one original signed application with blue ink and 2 copies to the following address: After School Division, California Department of Education, attention, SSEL, RFA. 1430 N Street, Suite 3400, Sacramento, California, 95814-5901. If you have any questions regarding this section, please post your questions now.
At this time, we will take RFA clarifying questions that you may have. Remember, we can only respond to you through the chat, so please post your questions in the Q&A section of the chat. I also want to remind you that we will be posting the webinar shortly after it's completed. So you'll have access to both the webinar and the PowerPoint slide deck. At this point, as you absorb all the information that we've provided to you, we will go back and go through put the PowerPoint back up again so that you can see the sections one more time. And we ask you again to please post your questions in the chat through the Q&A button.
Okay, so we've received a few questions over the chat that have been answered and wanted to share those at this time. So one question came through that asked, can one county office of education cross assess a region? The answer is no. Per section E2 of the RFA, it states that while applicants can apply to serve a single county or group of counties within the region, it is critical that applicants consider the needs of the region as a whole. So therefore, you can only apply for counties within the region in which the county office resides. There was one question about where can they download the RFA. If you go on the CDE website at www.cde.ca.gov and find the section for funding, you will come across this RFA. The third question we received is, are we expected to address items like site visits, participation in TAP in the proposal, or were those items be addressed during the contract development after their award? And the answer to this is if you look at the criterion 1 and 3, this is addressed as far as TA and also the TAP question. And the last question we received thus far is, can you address the rationale for the cap of $50K for subawards? This is merely it's not only a $50K cap, but also it's 25% or up to $50,000, and that is actually per contract regulation for the state of California. And we'll wait a few minutes to see if we receive any more questions.
So at this point, we don't see any more questions have been posted. We want to suggest that at the end of this webinar, if you have additional questions that you would like us to respond to, please address it through the after-school mailbox. You should put SSELRFA in the subject line, and the after-school mailbox is afterschool@cde.ca.gov.
So we have a few more questions. Someone has asked that we provide the reference for California code for the contract requirement. We will do so actually in our FAQs that we're going to post. So we'll make note of that question so that we can find the exact place in contract code for that. Secondly, someone asked about the contract development, if that happens with our staff separate from the triad. At this point, we're just answering questions regarding the RFA and clarifying any language of the RFA, and the contracting stage will happen in the near future. We also have another question also around terms of sub-agreements and subcontracts that we will also answer outside of this RFA process. And lastly, we have a question about if we can post the slides on the website. We can do that. We're also going to be posting this webinar as well.
So we want to thank you for your time and attention to this webinar. Again, if you have additional questions that we have not responded to through this process, we can only respond to clarifying questions regarding the RFA. Please address those through the after-school mailbox at afterschool@cde.ca.gov. Thank you again for your time.